Okay, we're back. I had recorded half of the next video already before I realized that it wasn't actually recording. So I'm going to go back through some of the stuff I've done. Um, so let's start with just fixing those traces. So search for trace here in your master fishing rod and just make sure that this one in the cast trace is a trace channel fishing, and then the one here in focus minigame is trace channel bobber. And then we're just going to go here to the BP bobber and just make sure that the collisions here on the bobber mesh is blocking bobber. We need that so we can actually pick it up during the focus minigame. Right, going back to the master fishing rod, we're just going to clean up the last couple of connections we need to make. So if you search for this star, SGK star, we'll just go through these as kind of places that are marked that things need to change. So we did this already. This one as well as part of when we were updating the character. This was the inventory. So we've done these. That's some more animations. We've done these. This one, if you're using durability, you can hook it up like this. It's play inventory. And then you say decrease held item durability, and the durability cost per use is from the holdable item. So you can configure this in the data table. If you're not using durability, it doesn't matter. You can leave it out in the data table. This is just if you are using it, you'll need that. Big changes here are these ones. So you need to use the SGK client secondary action. So if you search for it, it's this one under holdable, this event. And you just have to hook up, make sure that you use your key down, the ones that are hooked up in here, that it stays there. And you're going to do the same for the client primary action. You see this one has two connections going into it. Just make sure you get both of those. And this one is server primary action. And this one was just another animation. So that's it for the fishing log for now. Just going to mention again, just make sure you are here under attach point, the static mesh, and the attaching point shouldn't be here. But while we're here, we can go into the static mesh, and you might want to disable. You see, I've done this here already, but this enable that support, disable that, and remember to click apply. Otherwise, you're going to have two fishing rods show up in your first person view. Okay, so this one's ticked off. Remember to click apply, save, exit. Next, we'll go to the SGK master character. So that's here in style game kit, blueprints, character, this one. And we're going to go to the inputs graph. That's over here. All right. So here we're just going to set up the inputs for the QuickTime events. So we'll do one for lean. Yeah, this macro is your play inventory, get your character component, get your holding item, then you do an is this one. And you just make sure this is master fishing rod. Master fishing rod, that one. Okay, connected to a branch, and then you just want to add these exact points in your macro. So normally what you would do is you do this on the graph, right click there, and then you'll say collapse to macro, and it'll create this graph for you. Then just make sure it'll have an inputs here, and you just change it here. So it must be exact pins for the exact and the true and the false, and you just connect these two out here. Right, we're going to go back to the fishing now. So we're going to go from start to this would normally look like that. So you're going to go from started, you're going to go into this edge fishing. If it's not fishing, so if we're not holding a fishing rod, then we do the normal flow. It'll want to lead. If it is, we're going to get the play inventory, character component, holding item. We're going to cast it to a master fishing rod, and we're going to call this QTE input. For me, leaning left is Q, so you're going to have this QTE action Q here, and key down for the started flow. Then from completed, doing the same thing. On the false, you do the normal flow. On the true, you do the cast to the master fishing rod, and it's going to be Q again, but key down won't be ticked. So this is when you release the key. All right. So that's your lean left, lean right, same flow, E key. Just remember E key, key down on the started, E key, not key down on the completed. So that's your basic QTE actions. Then if you want the up, down, left, right, which you're going to need for the rhythm minigame as well, you're going to do the same thing here. So this one works off triggered, the normal flow. So we've added now the started here. So we don't need to go from false because it's already looked up here in trigger. And we do W for up or forward. Okay, and then from completed, false goes into the set, the character components forward, and the true flow is then W with not key down. And we're going to do the same for right. So right again started, right is D key, key down, completed, D key, not key down. We go backwards, it's S, key down, from the completed is not key down. And last one here is left, it's A and A. All right. Now you've got your keys set up there. Then we're going to, just on your mesh here, you can go to your skeleton, open that up, and we're going to, under hand R, we add a new socket here. So right click, add socket, and we're going to call it hand underscore R fish rod. You can then copy this, and we will go to your fishing rods back here. So in your master fishing rod, actually right here, you can go to hold socket, under the base class here, and you want to paste that name in here. This will then update the children, except I think it looked like the focus, QTE, real only, and standard, they're all children of master fishing rod, and that's how you're going to create it going forward. But that hold socket seems to propagate to the focus, the QTE, and the real only, but it didn't work correctly to this one. So just double check all of them. Maybe hold socket. I've already fixed this one here, but just make sure that your hold socket is that socket name. Otherwise, your fishing rod's going to appear in the middle of your character's body and stick right up. So if you see that bug, just know that your hold sockets aren't correctly configured. All right. So that's the skeleton. Fishing rod's correct. We've done the character now. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the items. So once again, I did these while the video was off, but I'm going to show you. I created a fishing item list here. So we go data table, create new data table, and we want an item details, this one. All right, create that. And I called mine fishing item list because I want to keep it separate. Just if you create it like that, you could add it here in item list. You could just add it here, but I like to keep mine separate. So if you add it in there, just go to master lists, master item list, and make sure that you add it here on the parent tables. You see there I have fishing item list that's been added. Okay, going back to that. So fishing item list. So the first thing you add is your fishing rod. I'll run you through that. This can be whatever. Add the details here. I'd have weight of 1, width of 1, height of 4. I'm not allowing stacking. World actions, I'm just going to have pick up and hold. Quick use, just hold. That's when it's in your quick slot bar. Static mesh, just make it your fishing rod, the one that we just removed the nanoat control on. Static master item down here on world class. UI details, use the fishing rod inventory icon here, quick slot for those, and then inventory icon down here, although you probably won't use this one because it won't go in the weapon sort. And then important is the holdable details. Just make sure you set the standard fishing rod or whichever fishing rod you choose to use here. This is the child of the master fishing rod. I wouldn't recommend using the master here because you actually just want to create a child even if it has the same settings as the master, but use the holdable class here. And then under container details is important. So we want it to contain items because we're going to use it as a magazine. We're going to load the bait directly into the rod so that the rod can manage the adding and removing of bait. So we're going to do one by one because all our bait's going to be one by one. We won't use weight, but you can choose to put that on if you want. And then the container restriction type, we should, if you want to be more strict about how items are put in there, I'd say allow items, because otherwise, people could just put a rock or whatever in there and it might bug out when you're trying to fish with that stuff. And then for your restriction items, you'll have to add the bait here first, but then you add this bait here. So we'll say I can have worms, I can have fishing item list, worms, let's say bait crab, and fishing item list, and the Holyun bait. Actually, probably want one more as well. We want the sardines. Probably best to just copy that. So right click, shift right click copies, and then shift left click will paste it. So we got worm, Holyun, crab, and sardine. Okay, so this can take then all different kinds of bait. If you have a certain fishing rod, you only want to allow certain kinds of bait to be run with it. This is where you'll manage that. Okay, container type, magazine, very important because we want to load and unload the bait from there. Container window, just so you can see what bait's in there. And if you want to use the count limit, I'll put it the same as the stack size. And that's it. You don't need custom grid layout or starting items unless you want to, but then it goes. All right, so that's your fishing rod. If you wanted to add durability here, you can do that. We discussed it with the connecting up. Then for the bait, very simple item. Just have your weight and your dimensions. Make sure it's not bigger than the fishing rod can hold. Stack size, and you just want to make this a treasure bags, static master item. Probably just wanted to pick up. If you wanted to be able to eat the bait, add the consume here, and we'll add it down here in consumable details. There. if you want to be able to eat the bait. Add your UI images. And that's pretty much it. Just make sure that these names here match the bait list from your great fishing. And if you add new kinds of bait, you need to add it here as well. So here, bait list. This one is your bait. And then you also have the, so you'll see this bait sardine is both in this bait list and it is in the fish list. So you can actually catch this and then use it as bait. So it's possible to do that, but it needs to be in both the fish list and the bait list if you plan to do it like that. Any other fish that you want to add needs to be in the fish list. So fishing item list, you'll see here I've added fish. The reason why there's a 1 and 2 here is this fish has different sizes. So you can catch a small one, medium, large one. And the fishing system itself handles that when you set it up here in fish list. So down here is your levels. And if you make this a 3, there's 3 different levels, 3 different sizes for the fish. And the system itself will handle that and give you a random size fish. But you need to add 3 different items here because they will have different weights, different images, whatever. You need to add it in this way that it is the base fish name as it is stated here. And then the next one has a 1 appended to it, the next one a 2 appended to it. That's how the fishing system will assign these. So if you have a 5 down here, you're going to have to add a 3 and a 4 and add their own details because each one would be their own item. And you probably want these icons to be bigger and weights and whatnot. Have different values for consumables and so on. Right, so that's these. Then the treasure is a special kind. I've added it here as an item, but it is also under the fish list because when you play the obstacle minigame and you hit a treasure chest, that can contain certain loot, and you want it acts as a fish. So you want to add it here in fish, and then when you go to the loot table, here you can add what is inside that treasure chest, so what gets added to the player's inventory, and in this case we're going to add 1 sardine. All right, so that's, but again, this name needs to match this name and this name, so just make sure that those are all assigned correctly. Okay, so once those are in, you can drop them here into the world. Sorry, you probably want to add the world items here first. So you can just duplicate one of these. That's the easiest way. And then once you go in here, just make sure you change the item here to the correct item. The rest is not that important right now. Okay, so we've added those. Items are in. Now we need to just do the animations. So in here, I've gone and deleted all these montages because they're old ones. And then you will go back to your anim sequence and you're going to replace the skeleton with this one. All right. Survival game kit measure skeletal, this one. And once you've done that, you need to just right click on them and say create anim montage. And it's going to create these. I do them one by one. I once tried all of them at the same time and it actually crashed my engine. So I suggest or do smaller batches. And that's about as far as I got because I wasn't recording. So let's carry on. Okay, so let's go to the master fishing rod And let's just make sure we assign these animations now. So go in here to your animations and just set the default values. Okay, so equip rod is going to be equip fishing one equip. Okay, unequip is going to be fishing. I think it's 6. Unequip. Cast rod fishing 2, I think. I think it's cast right. Let me actually just double check these for reference in my other project. There was okay. Cast right. Okay, so hook we're going to choose real left. Catch is mid. Obviously, if you have different ones here, call them or assign them as you please. Left, I think, is when we do quick times. So these are what they are. Oh, that's pull mid. Right. Mid. And the line break is cost mid. Okay. Right. Compile that. Let's save. Let's just double check that we that those did also transfer to the standard fishing rod. Okay, well, variables don't show up here, so they're not modified, so that's fine. I guess we can check it here. Animations. That looks right. Okay. Now we need to go to the anim layers. Layers. We're going to just duplicate this one. So Control D to duplicate, and we're going to call it fishing anim layers. Not a whole lot that we have to do here, but you can obviously make it much nicer if you want to. So we'll go to details here, third person anims, aimed, idle. It's going to be fishing idle. And then do the same for the first person. First person anims, aimed, idle. Fishing idle. Okay, file, save, and I feel like that might be it. Let's have a look. Oh, right. So that shouldn't be visible. Let's just go to the UI. Let's see on the widgets. Yeah. Oh, I never assigned in the previous video, we created the variables, but we never assigned it to the correct things. Okay, so fishing meters. Let's go to visibility, and it'll be meters visibility. QTE will be quick time visibility. Rhythm track visibility, and focus is focus visibility. Compile that. Save all. All right, let's try again. Here we are. Probably need a backpack. And pick up that. Pick up. Okay, so there's our bait. We can add the rod in here. Let's go with the worm first. Oops. Put it in the fishing rod. Fishing rod goes there. Oh, so that is when I created this in the items, I think I didn't set that it has to be or there's a default on the axe, I think, that says you have to only hold the bow when equipped. I'm going to untick that one because I don't want to equip it. Let's just move this backpack closer actually for testing. Okay, equip. Go, pick up, pick up. Okay, put the worms in here. There. Oh, we haven't set up a fishing zone yet. That's right. Okay, so we go here. We just want to go to the translucent water. It's a little bit hard to click it. There we go. Translucent water. And we want to set this water surface to have a physical material of PM water. This you'll see in this fish zone. You see here this physical material because this defines which fish spawn in that area. So we just want to set that and make sure that this blocks fishing and ignores all the rest. But now for this block, that's this drinking zone, we don't want that to block fishing. And you'll see by default it blocks fishing on collisions because we want generally the world to know when you are fishing, but for these invisible blocks you want to ignore it. All right, so because we don't want to stand back here and be able to fish through the wall. So by default we want stuff to block the fishing, but these blocks, this stuff, any environmental things you kind of want to, if they're not ignore all, you want it to just make sure that it ignores the fishing. Otherwise, you're going to not be able to fish. Okay, let's try again. The fishing is going to look a little bit weird because the fish is going to swim outside the zone because of the spline that they swim on. I might do an update later to kind of keep them contained, but generally you want a smaller or a larger fishing area, or you just make the spline smaller that they swim in. Okay, there we go. Cast the rod, I think it's a bit small issue enough. I'll do animation correctly, but let's see. Minigame players. It's the hook the fish. Hook the fish. I think my animation is just not correct. My stance might be incorrect. There we go. We've caught 2 fish because we had a big bonus. So 2 of these, bonus worked correctly, bait was removed. Great. Let's quickly see if we can fix that animation. The idle animation was incorrect there. I'll be back in a minute. Yeah, so The reason why the animation did not play is because we never assigned it. It's a master fishing rod. Let me just go here to animation. Yeah, let us use the fishing anim layers. All right, that's correct. And then we just want to double check that we do it on the other rods, especially the standard one that we're using right now. So standard fishing rod. Yeah, animation layer, you see there's nothing here. Use the same as which one is it? This one and fishing anim layers. So just make sure that you use the correct anim layer there. Okay, now that should work. We've already tested the rhythm mini game. We can quickly just test the rest. So that'll be, I think, Khoyun was the obstacle mini game. There we go. Animation's playing now correctly. Here's a little lure. I'm gonna dodge everything. Let's grab that chest. That's gonna immediately pull in the chest. Excuse the lag. It's because I got two other engine projects open at the moment. Grab that, and that gave me some sardines. So I got 11 now. Started with 10. Let's do that one more time. Let's go all the way to the end. How this one works is if you hit the treasure chest or the other fish that swim here, you immediately hook that fish. Doesn't seem to be any fish now. Or these things will take damage. There's a fish. I'm going to dodge it for now. And if you reach the end, you catch a very specific fish, which is normally quite tough to catch, actually, but I got it. Oh, I think the bobber is also being checked on other things, so that focus minigame was a bit easier than it should have been. So I'll just check the rest of these that you see there. So it's the maximum size that you get if you succeed in that catch. So that's the large one we set up earlier. And then the final one, we just want to unload the bait we did there, and let's load up some sardines, which is just the old way of without the lure mini game at the beginning. So you're just gonna have your fish. There it is. Reel it in. And cool. Okay, so the reason why the focus is not going red is because we've got just the collision channels are set here, so I'm pretty sure everything here has collision. Let's just check it here. Default collisions, yes. Let's just go check. Alright, I'll check that and I'll be back. Okay, you'll want to just on your bobber, the bobber mesh was previously set as blocking the bobber. Just make sure it's on ignore here. And then you want to instead do it on the master hooked fish. This bobber mesh should be on blocked in order for the focus mini game to work correctly. Okay, the reason why the focus was much too easy is, well, it didn't actually work correctly. So we actually need to ignore the bobber on most of the presets. So if you go to project settings, collision, and go to the presets, all of these, bobber must be on ignore, even on the block all, overlap all, block all dynamic, overlap all dynamic, ignore only pawn. We really don't want to hit this bobber on anything but the bobber trace channel, because then it'll incorrectly pick up you having the bobber inside your sights when you don't actually. So that's it. We can quickly show you here. Grab this backpack, grab the rod. Let's just grab the sardines, put it in there. Yeah, going to set off fishing there. And you'll see if I go outside, it'll turn red and affect the. But that's it. All working. Hope you guys enjoy.